Yo, Vesper is here, and let's talk about some Street Fighter 6. So the game's been out for almost a month now. I think we're still going through that honeymoon phase because the game is still very hype. It's so hyped during the weekends the servers are crashing, Capcom. Please fix them. And we just finished CEO, and that tournament was super sick, man. The matches were great. We're in for the long term. It's looking nice. But something, guys, honestly, have been bugging me for so long now, ever since the first beta. And I kind of have to get it off my chest. I don't know when to release a video like this, but I just gotta do it now, I guess. Get it over with. And that is the Street Fighter 6 rank system. I think it's kind of lame. I think it's pretty boring. And I think Capcom really needs to spice it up and make it more exciting. I want to know your guys' thoughts on it as well. But I guess the bottom line is that it's just too lenient. And it's too easy to climb the ranks. And I feel like the carrot on the stick it's just not enough to keep people invested, and I think it'll be a problem unless Capcom does, the season resets very quickly, which we don't know at this current time how often it will be. So I guess I'll start off by saying that I've gone Master Rank now a couple of times, and I'm on my third Master Rank soon. And I'm not saying that, to toot my horn and be like, look how elite I am, guys. But I'm trying to say that because I've been through the journey already a couple of times, and, it's not even been a month yet, like I said. And ever since the first beta, people have gone Master Rank in a single day. And when I first saw that, I'm like, man, that's actually kind of bad. I don't really like that. Maybe they're just testing things out. But no, now that the game is launched, we know that's actually the system that Capcom intended. And I think there's a lot of flaws with that. Some intentional, some unintentional, which I'll get into. But I really don't agree with that for a ranked system. Because at the end of the day, you want to play players that are on the same level of skill as you, as close as possible. You want to play players the same level as you. That is the whole point of the rank system. There's also the leaderboards. Street Fighter 6 is a very competitive game, and it should have a rank system that reflects that, especially now that it has such a huge player base. There's a lot more options. And there are some things with the Street Fighter 6 rank system that I really do like, and I'll point those out. They can be easily improved. Now, I know this represents a very small percentage of players. If you look on YouTube or if you look on Twitch, it seems like everyone is Master Rank, but it's still less than 1% of the player base, especially if you put into account that people have multiple characters in Master Rank on the same account, then it really inflates the numbers. But I think this still affects low rank players too, especially when you guys start ranking up as well, and you'll see the flaws of the system. So why is it so easy to rank up in Street Fighter 6? I know a lot of players in Street Fighter 5 that were hard stock in Platinum or hard stock in Diamond, and now they're Master Rank players, and it's not because, Street Fighter 6 is so easy, these guys are just scrubbing it out. And there are, Street Fighter 5 players that are a lot more dedicated and they're clicking with Street Fighter 6. I think Street Fighter 6 is a harder game overall. I just think the rank system is too lenient, so let's talk about why that is. First, the placement system. The placement system gives you a really big head start. And I like the placement system because I think it's a great idea to have not every single player start at the beginning, because it helps eliminate smurfing issues, especially when somebody's like, hey, look, I'm not a bronze rank player. I should be at least in gold rank. I shouldn't have to start at the very beginning. I think that is a good system. However, because there's such low amount of ranks in Street Fighter 6, I think that starting off in Platinum and in Diamond rank is also too high as well. And I don't think the placement system does a good job of figuring out what your skill level is, especially with the game being very, very new. I've seen people just lose pretty much 8 of 10 of their placement matches, and the game still puts them in Diamond, or it still puts them in like Platinum 5. It's still ridiculously high. It's also very flawed because there's definitely a hidden elo system, because when I did my third placement matches, I'm playing against just non-stop Master Rank players. And on top of that, the system seems to check if you're using the game's mechanics. In other words, if you're a player who uses Drive Rush a lot, the game will probably rank you up higher because it's seen how well you know the game system. I don't know this for sure, it's just a hunch of mine. Because like I said, players are losing the majority of their matches and they're still being placed very high. So I think that's already a flaw in the system. And then when you combine that with rank protection, that also causes issues, because now you have people that are in higher ranks, maybe higher than they're supposed to be. And because they have the rank protection, they're pretty like sometimes soft locked. I've seen players complain that they admit that they're not very good. They're more of a beginner player, but the game is putting them in Platinum and they're soft locked because now they can't beat anybody because they're not supposed to be there. Or even players they feel like they're a bronze player, right, or a rookie, and it's putting them in gold rank and they're soft locked there as well. Now, the two biggest problems I would say, is the point system and the matchmaking. The point system is intentional from Capcom, but the matchmaking is not. So the point system, basically, once you reach master rank, you're getting pretty much a flat amount of points. And it's usually around 50, 55 points. Now, it's crazy, but if you're in master rank, you can actually play people in placements, which is ridiculous. You can play people that have 0 LP, and then when you beat them as a master rank player, they give you 55 points, which I think is just silly. So you can actually farm players that have no ranked at all. And once again, you're rank protected, so you can't lose points. And then the master rank players, as you climb higher and higher through the leaderboard, you actually give more points to the diamond players below you. So when I'm in diamond and I beat a master rank player, sometimes I'm getting over 200 LP just for beating them one match. So even if I lose the other two, it doesn't matter. I'm a huge net gain. And this is going to become a problem depending on how fast Capcom resets this ranked. Because there's going to be some massive rank inflation. Once we have more and more master rank players climbing higher and higher up the leaderboards, it seems like there's no cap on the amount of points you earn for beating these master rank players. On top of this, when you lose about 40 points, sometimes 30 points, depending on the rank you play. Once you reach Diamond 3 or Diamond 4, you start to play master rank players, and you're pretty much in the last bracket, skill bracket of the game. And honestly, the more master rank players you play, the easier it is to rank up. Especially if you don't random out a master rank player in one match, you'll just gain so many points and not have to worry about losing much of anything. Now, like I said, the other problem and the unintentional problem is the matchmaking in Street Fighter 6. I'm sure a lot of you guys have noticed that you're playing the same players over and over and over again. It's gotten so out of hand, you don't know what's going on with the matchmaking. And that's because there's been a serious problem ever since the first beta. Now, of course, this depends on where you live, what country you live in. I live in Western Canada, but I've noticed a lot of people in the central area, people that are not in LA or NYC or in Vancouver or in Toronto, they're having problems where they just keep playing players, the same players over and over again in NA. And I've noticed this a lot when you look at a lot of the top mastering players on the leaderboard. If you go through their profile, you'll notice they're playing the same players and farming them over and over again. Because, you know, if you're better than the 3 players that you constantly matchmake against, you can really mess up those leaderboard numbers because you can just farm these players over and over and they're never going to beat you, right? So then your points are really skewed. When obviously you want to have the biggest player base possible, biggest pool of players, especially when you know there's like, you know, tens of thousands of players playing this game. Apparently the matchmaking is really strict on its region, so it'll always favor people in your region. But another thing I'm sure you guys have noticed when you're sitting in training mode is that when you find a match and you see it has a low bar connection, whether it's a 2-bar or whatever, and you cancel it, it will just force you to want to play that player. No matter how many times you cancel that connection, that same 2-bar is going to keep popping you up. And the reason that is because the matchmaking is trying to force you to play certain players. So I think it's a combination of those two things that really screw up the leaderboard numbers and ranking up in a natural way like it was in Street Fighter V. Now, of course, ranked does not completely reflect skill, obviously. Just because you're a master rank player doesn't mean, you know, you're going to be winning evil tomorrow night. But the whole point of a rank system in a game is to match you against similarly skilled players. That it's the ultimate goal. Yes, there's a leaderboard as well, but in order for you to improve, you want to play players your level or better than your level, right? You're not going to get better playing players that are not as experienced as you are. But I think if the way to translate the ranks, I'm going to compare this a lot to Street Fighter V. Master rank, honestly, it feels like diamond rank. It just feels like diamond rank. Now, I'm not even saying super diamond or ultra diamond. It feels like just straight up diamond rank. And diamond in Street Fighter 6 feels like platinum rank in Street Fighter 5. And I guess that means that plat will probably feel like gold, because in platinum rank in Street Fighter 6, it's just DI city. Everyone just DIs, and then you DI them back, and then they lose, and then you just rank up from that. You don't even need to know your character. So I really don't like that, because the Street Fighter V rank system, it's a long grind, man. Even if you're really good, and even if you go on huge win streaks, it's still a long grind. When you get Master Rank in Street Fighter V, I think it means something. It feels like it means something. You know, you got your Grandmaster. It goes all the way up to Warlord. There weren't that many Warlords, man. It takes months to grind a Warlord. It meant something. So that, you know, if you were to talk to someone, you're like, hey, what rank are you in Street Fighter 6? And they're like, oh, I'm Master Rank. You're like, oh, okay, they're Master Rank. But if you talk to a Street Fighter V player and you're like, hey, what rank are you? And you're like, I'm a Warlord. You're like, whoa, You know, that actually means something. Like, wow, this guy was on the grind. And the Warlord status is kind of like that carrot on the stick. Now, I know that Street Fighter V wasn't released with the Warlord rank. I remember, dude, I've been playing Street Fighter V since the beta. And, you know, it took like a month, dude, for people to even reach Platinum in Street Fighter V because the rank system, they introduce more and more as time goes. And hopefully they do that with Street Fighter 6. But we weren't reaching the highest rank in Street Fighter V on the first day, okay? It was a long grind because the amount of points you got for beating people was so small. And even the journey going from Super to Ultra to Master, it takes more points and you lose more points when you lose to players that are lower ranked than you, right? So you have to maintain it while also playing better players. And I feel like in Street Fighter 6, it just does not accomplish it that well. It feels like the rank system is more about just separating players that are experienced and separating the players that are unexperienced. It doesn't really feel like a true ranking system. Now, don't get me wrong. There is some fantastic Master Rank players, man. I think it's awesome that I can play, you know, the best players in the world every now and then online. I think that's super cool. But I feel like it's just not broad enough, you know? And I think the longer we go without a ranked reset, it's just going to get worse. So let me present some fixes that I think Capcom should do to make the rank system a lot better, in my opinion. Now, I don't think they should introduce all of these, just some of these would be nice. So let's start with the placement system. Now, I think it'd be ridiculous if everyone started at the bottom rank in Rookie. I don't think that's a good idea because smurfing will be an issue again. I think the placements, I think the highest that it should place you, no matter how well you did, no matter if you went 10 wins straight and you used the drive rush system and all of that, I think the highest placement you should be is Platinum 1 star. So at the bottom of Platinum. I think this is a good way to do a longer grind, have everyone start at the bottom of Plat, and then you can see which players rise to the top and they don't get a head start in Diamond. And with that being said, I think losses should be harsher. I think that, especially if you go on a losing streak, you should be losing a lot of points. I just feel like if you lose 2 and win 1, and especially with the Master Rank players giving so much, I just feel like it's not hard enough. You know, I think the rank system needs to be more strict on trying to figure out where you should actually be. Now, the matchmaking issue, I think, is a very obvious problem that Capcom hopefully will be fixing really soon. Once again, the game hasn't been out for a month yet, but playing the same players over and over again, I think, is a really big problem. Normally, I would say, you know, maybe you should diminish points if you keep farming the same players over and over again. But honestly, they should just fix the matchmaking, and then we don't have to deal with that issue anyways, you know. Playing a giant pool of players is just going to be a better representation of where your actual skill level is. Especially if, like, let's say you're a JP player and you keep playing a Zangief player over and over again. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? And the other way around, you know, if you're playing Lily and you keep going up against Honda, you know, it's not going to be good times. I also think they need to disable the rank protection. Because, come on, man, you're in Master Rank and you can't drop out of it. That's crazy, dude. You're playing against the best players in the world. And if you're not supposed to be there, you're not supposed to be there. You shouldn't be, you know, stuck in there forever until they reset it. I think that's crazy. I also think the climb should be a lot longer. So, you know, the difference between getting 1 star diamond to 2 to 3 should be a longer climb more and more. I think the more amount of matches, right, the longer the climb, and then you lose more points on the less stars of your opponent. Just like Street Fighter V, honestly, is good. And I think some things that really spice it up because, like I said, part of this is a problem with representing, you know, similar skill. But another issue is simply the carrot on the stick. You know, I don't like the idea of players that are playing ranked and you get Master Rank, you know, within the first week. And then you're getting bored because there's nothing really to climb for. Street Fighter V, it seemed like the rank system was endless. You always have something to climb for, but now it's just, it already ends, you know? So I strongly feel like Capcom should add more ranks. At the very least, add a Grandmaster rank. So we can have a Master Rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then finally a final rank called Grandmaster rank. I think would also greatly help the system. And then another thing I think would be cool is to have like a top, you know, top 1000 or top 500 rank. Even past Grandmaster. You know, like an Apex rank, I think would be very sick. And that would give the chance for like the pro players to really go hard on the grind. And it'd make the leaderboards a lot interesting. And that obviously is something that, you know, that can only be a top 500. So you wouldn't have like, you know, 1,000+ players in Grandmaster. It's something that represents literally the top 500 players. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the rank system. I'm really interested to hear what your guys' thoughts are, especially the lower ranked players. And, you know, I really hope I didn't sound like super elitist in this video, man. I hope I presented my thoughts well. And like I said, I know this represents a small percentage of players, but I feel like this rank system, man, it's going to get people bored, especially when they've reached the top so fast. I think that carrot on the stick is really important. And yes, I know there's going to be ranked resets, but what does a ranked reset matter, guys? If you can get master rank in a single night anyways, you know, if you simply don't want to change your character and the next ranked reset and you play your main, it's not going to be an issue because your skill is going to carry over. The climb is just going to be so short. So I really hope Capcom fixes the matchmaking system and takes a look at the point system. And yeah, I mean, there's not too much to complain about Street Fighter 6, man. It's a fantastic game. I just wanted to share some concerns I have. Thanks so much, guys, for taking the time to listen to this video. And I'll be back at you guys with some more guides really, really soon here. Okay, take care, guys. Peace out.